Hello again, I'm Mustache Mike, and welcome to my corner of the workshop. Next to perhaps a woodworking guardian angel, or another way to use sawdust, is the modern day miracle called blue masking tape. In fact, I use 3 different widths, 2-inch, 1.5 inch, and 1-inch. So I came up with a really cool idea how to organize and also dispense that precious blue tape. Check it out and then let me know what you think about it. To start with, after I had designed the basic shape that I wanted my tape dispenser to be, I did it on the computer so I could always have an additional copy, cut it out, and then applied, of course, some spray glue to the pattern so we could mount it up. So it's off to the scroll saw. I'm using a Craftsman scroll saw, about 30 years old. First thing you always have to do is make sure you're square. So I use one of these little squares to do that. And you'll notice as we cut these pieces out, I'm not using the factory blade guard that came on these Craftsman. I guess it works, but I hate them. You can't see the blade very good. No, you're supposed to use them, but I take it off in many instances. Good practice here for cutting straight lines with a pin saw blade. This type of project too is also a good one for cutting circles on thick wood with a regular blade, pin saw blade. Watch the line, and if anything, stay on the outside because you can always go over to the belt sander and trim back to the pencil mark. And it's off to the belt sander to smooth off some of those edges. You notice how I trim back or sand back to the pencil line. So keeping on the outside of the cut will allow you to do this. Another thing you want to be careful is make sure your belt is square to the table. On this thick stuff, often that gets a little out of adjustment and you'll start to angle sand real quickly. Removal of the pattern always is much easier with a heat gun. Watch the fingers. So we're going to need numerous of these round discs to make the spindle to hold the tape. Okay, it's time now for the glue up. These babies are going to squeeze all over because of that glue, so I use a square to make sure I've got them all together right, and I actually put a couple pin nails in to hold them. Hey, don't you love those big jaws on your bench vise? You're going to get a lot of squeeze out. And the same principles apply for the multiple cutouts for your dispenser spacer. That's going to run along the bottom. Pin nail, glue, put them in the vise, let them dry. Okay, here I'm cutting out some thin spacers that are going to be going between the rolls of tape. This dispenser holds 3 rolls, and you need this spacer so that it spins without pulling the opposite rolls along with you while you're dispensing one type of tape. So you take your finished tape spindle and lay it on each one of the rings because the center is going to cut out because these will have to slide on and off as you put different rolls of tape on. Now here's an opportunity for developing another good skill, an inside cut on a piece that's fairly thin. And a little touch up on the inside curves of the big spacer piece. I love my Guinevere. The thing is used for so much in this shop. It's a great tool. And now over to my handy dandy little center finder so we can drill a long hole for that 1/2-inch dowel. Take your time drilling. You want the hole nice and straight. Now being the dowel's not going to go all the way through, you'll have to drill it from both sides. Now this slot is going to be so that the tape dispenser can be taken in and out for changing the rolls. And it's a good practice piece here for making a kind of a quick turn at the end of straight line cuts. I got a feeling this tape dispenser might slide around a little bit on the bench, so I had some of this drawer liner that I got from Harbor Freight. So I'm cutting me out a piece and going to apply it, glue it down to the base of the tape dispenser to keep it more stable on the bench. Glue up the side pieces, and I'm actually applying a couple of nails as well. Time to put the base on. And now, applying the non-skid material to the base. Okay, I chose to use a hacksaw blade for the tape cutter, and it's pretty hard to find anything in your shop that's harder than a hacksaw blade to cut it with. So I choose to use my little angle grinder here. Again, it's kind of hard to drill a hacksaw blade, so I glued this on. And you don't want the edge of the hacksaw blade flush with the wood. You want it up just a little bit. And now it's time for some finish. Could use a lot of different finishes, I guess. I just chose to use some Watco Danish oil, just clear. Here's a look with the finish and the spacers on the spindle piece. Mount up your tape and your spacers. So there you go, one pretty sweet tape dispenser. Just a little tip, you can lay this on the bench, or I mounted mine up on the wall. I'm Mustache Mike, and I would never pull your stash. See you soon.